If any of the features in this map or its plugins interest you at all, I have a new server running it all 24/7 starting now. The IP to SamWiz1 Sunny server is in the description, so check that out if you feel like it, and enjoy the video. Let's talk about trade_SunCity. This map, out of every map I've ever played in TF2, is a bit of an enigma. For starters, for a very, very long time, you could only find it on one community server out there. You can try to load into it on other servers or even in single-player servers, but what does it do? Kills you repeatedly. What kind of map has automatic security features specifically designed to prevent people from playing it unless they're on the official server it was made for? Well, this one apparently. And now I have a server running it. Curious how fate weaves its little tales. Anyways, I know Scream Fortress is ongoing, so this probably isn't the... Me and another dude in my Discord named Zeraph have spent the last month putting this little presentation together, and it's about time to show it off, Halloween or not. What makes SunCity so special that I'd not only want to talk about it for a dedicated video, but also sink money into hosting a server dedicated to running it? Well, a few things. For starters, it's a beautiful map as far as trade maps go. Wide, spacious spawns, a mostly balanced combat area between them, and an outer city spanning the entire perimeter of the central fight zone. You got residential, business, a park, some storage buildings, a construction area, a subway that I'll get into later, and plenty of other buildings that really don't make much sense and don't serve much purpose, but come on, they still look nice. So, it's a cool map, you're saying. That makes sense, but surely that's not it. Of course not, that's just the hook. As soon as you load into the server, there's an inescapable little number in the corner of your screen that can't be ignored. Your bank account. See, when you kill people, they drop cash. Because that's realistic. People have money on them. If you shoot a guy, he'll usually have a wallet, and if he's already dead, there's nobody stopping you from... Okay, maybe I shouldn't promote mugging as a lifestyle, but you get my point. Kill morons, get $5 a pop. Kill a lot of morons, get a lot of cash. Cool, now you're rich. See all these cardboard cutouts everywhere? Well, Marasmus had a bit of fun a decade ago, and now they're trapped as his perpetual money makers, selling various gizmos and curses to make up his debt to the Japanese mafia. Need a tiny Ed? Heavy can hook you up. Wanna go fast? Scout's your man. Going dungeon delving? Well, Pyro can help you out with a light. Speaking of dungeons, there's a dungeon on the map. Spread throughout the map are a series of buttons, and if you activate them all at the same time with stickies or something, it'll open those doors in the subway. It gets dark though, so good luck getting to the end. I won't spoil the surprise. Speaking of surprises, there's a bunch of secret rooms spread throughout the map. They don't do much, but they're funny on their own. Here, see this bridge? Well, if you dip under it and slide in just the right way, you get teleported to secret room number 4, the Eyes. Yeah, anyways, moving on. Probably the single greatest thing that I've delayed talking about on this map is a custom plugin called TFS, which stands for Team Fortress Sandbox. Do you like the building of Gary's mod, but you still enjoy the refined combat of TF2? Well, why not combine them? It costs $1,500, which evens out to killing about 300 guys, for reference, to get a license from the engineer cutouts. But once you've gotten that, you're free to head through the portal at spawn and start building. What can you build in the sandbox? Well, pretty much anything that uses TF2 props. From massive statues to dense forests to fight clubs I'm really not allowed to talk about, the sky's the limit. I have my own personal favorite design that's basically a box-shaped house for an engineer and a sniper to sit in, but that's just me. Build as your heart desires. Let's see, what else do we have? I almost forgot about the events. For starters, the Demo Man cutout sells various cash events like raffles and boss battles, so if you want to fork over $1,000 to see a present thrash both teams for the next 10 minutes, he's your man. But that's just the start of it. Admins can run some custom events as well, and will be doing so over the duration of the server. For example, you got Fall Fortress, where a bunch of scouts take turns jumping back and forth to avoid falling to their deaths on a series of closing platforms. Or Jump Rope, because every TF2 minigame center needs a jump rope, but because the admin controls it directly, you can trick people into jumping into it by stopping when they jump, which is pretty freaking funny. There's a few others, but my personal favorite is probably Hidden Gift, where an admin places a present somewhere on the map, and the winner is simply whoever finds it first. With so many secrets in this map, there's plenty of places to put it. And that would about wrap up the tour of this incredible map and the plugins that run with it, but there's one more thing I forgot to mention. This place has some history. There's a few jokes and memes scattered around the various help desks offered by Medic Soldier and the Second Engineer, but those desks aside, there's a long and complicated story surrounding SunCity and the Sun community that created this map in the first place. So, let's talk about it. Summit Under Nothing, also known as Sun, was created in late 2010, over a decade ago now. It was formed through the merger of two other smaller gaming clans whose stories I'm not really familiar with. From what I understand, it was a very close and friendly community that prioritized having a genuinely good time over trying to expand their ranks, and it showed. SunCity is full of inside jokes and references from the early days of this tight community. For example, in one of the secret rooms, there's a text logo that says RC, referencing another smaller Steam clan that used to play on Sun server a lot. Elsewhere, there's a soldier with the name Das Autoguns listed behind him. Apparently, this was a reference to a young guy that was a big part of Sun's friend group who died young, and they made a memorial for him to immortalize his name, which is both equally grim and touching. One of the most infuriating of these inside jokes is an old line in the Soldier Help Desk dialogue in which KTM, the head developer behind the original maps and plugins, is described as, quote, the prettiest girl in all of Sun. Fun fact of the day. I started playing on Sun during the latter half of its life, and at the height of its success, so I was never a part of this inner friend group, and I just know of the people mentioned here because they were the ones who made the map and were the admins for it at the time. I spent half a decade genuinely convinced that the server creator KTM was a girl, because I had no evidence to the contrary. And the other night, I was talking with someone who was involved in Sun since the early days, who told me that KTM's a dude, and the line at the Soldier Help Desk was an inside joke making fun of the fact that Katie is usually a girl's name and most people would likely assume the rule would continue to hold. So that's humiliating on my part. Anyways, you can probably get the picture. Close friend group likes doing stuff together and has a lot of technical skill that they use to design some really cool stuff on the game they played most. There were quite a few people in it. KTM was the original designer of all the cool TF2 stuff. Colgate was one of the main community leaders. There was a guy named Scissors who was apparently one of those Enigma friends who didn't use voice chat for a long time, and many others that all knew each other really well and were as close as family. But all good things must come to an end, and success is what appears to have done the group in. See, they made this really cool server with a completely unique map and set of plugins, and that's great, but it added a new variable they weren't prepared for. See, people liked it, and when they liked it, they played on it. And over time, they began to associate the clan tag of Sun more closely with the server itself than with the community that birthed it. Over the course of a few years, it became less fun and more of a chore to keep up, and members of the original Sun community started dropping off as new players who knew nothing of the server's history or closeness started to replace the old guard as the regular community. As the cost of rapid community influx took its toll, the continual price of keeping the server alive began to outweigh the benefits for the owners, and nearly a decade after Sun's founding, the main server shut down. They handed off the files to a new group that claimed they'd revive Sun and keep it up, but that group decided against using SunCity as the main map, and so the player count dropped pretty quickly. Eventually, that endeavor died and was forgotten. Another dude then stepped up and claimed to want to do a second reboot, but years after his claim was established, nothing came of it. With that, Summit Under Nothing faded into the night, leaving its treasures hidden in only a handful of inaccessible locations. And then I had an idea. I started playing on Sun server in, 2017, I think? I had a great time there, and I played continuously for around a year or so, and then I applied for moderator. I'd become a regular, and a few people recognized me when I joined, so I was reluctantly accepted. I did well with it for a few months, then I lost mod. If you're someone who's subscribed to my channel, you can probably guess about why. If you're not subscribed, well, basically just admin abuse. I'd host the survival minigame too often, and then I'd kinda use it to place pumpkin bombs and explosive barrels and stuff in the main area instead of just the survival arena. When people complained, they took my mod. Fair enough. I stuck around the community for a bit longer, and I still loved the server, but eventually I moved on. I didn't directly see the death of Sun, but I was still sad to hear it had gone, and I saw the revival community was floundering as well. Fast forward 4-ish years. Now I'm a TF2 focused YouTuber, and I have the resources to make things happen if I want them to happen. A thought entered my mind. Since nobody was really left to claim the airship to SunCity, well, what if we did a little bit of grave robbing? So we did. Me, Zeraph, and a third modder, Batfox Kid, spent some time patching up a version of SunCity we got on our hands, and we put it on my main Stupid server. It only got better when we found a copy of the TFS plugin on a public internet archive and fixed that up to work. But there wasn't much we could do from there, as every other plugin was safely secured in the folders of the few that ran the servers in the first place, and they were pretty much permanently AFK. Except for Colgate. I mentioned him earlier, but eventually he came online and saw one of my messages requesting the old files, and he was surprisingly willing. Not only did he hand over the long-wished-for economy plugin and the complementary sub-plugins that helped with that one function, but he also had a vault of old Sun submaps that could be used in the future in tandem with the TFS and economy plugins alike, despite not being SunCity. Fast forward a month of me and Zeraph making edits and setting up databases, and we pretty much got everything in working order. And now I'm writing this script to tell you about it. The title of this video is The Complicated Legacy of SunCity. So, what is that legacy? SunCity is both the culmination of the combined skill of a close group of friends, but it was also their downfall. It's the masterpiece that brought the spotlight, and the brightness of that spotlight is what did it in. The legacy of SunCity is one that inspires creativity, that promotes long-term friendships, and that centers around a group of people joining together to fight and coordinate in a hub designed for such activities. Put it simply, it's complicated. I won't claim to be the successor to that legacy. I was never a part of that original friend group, and my claim to be a member of the community is fickle at best. But the map and plugins that made the server famous in the first place are simply too fascinating to let fade into the dustbin of history. So a few months and some digital grave robbing later, here we are. Alright, let's get to the credits. Special thanks to Zeraph for doing pretty much everything related to working on the map and plugins in the present day. Colgate for giving me the missing economy plugins needed to complete the server. Another anonymous old member for helping me figure out the general story of SunCity's past. KTM, Scissors, and the original Summit Under Nothing crew for building all this stuff in the first place a decade ago. And you, the community, for supporting the game that makes all this mess possible. With pretty much everything I had on the itinerary said and done, thanks again for watching. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed the effort that went into this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Oh, poop.